Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And hopefully, you have the words Gold Bond up at the top and body powder down on the bottom on your label. And you have some red capital letters that are in proportion to the small cap lowercase letters that are black. So now we have to actually add this white outline around here. And if we were going to just click on some of these letters right here, we'll just go with the gold bond up here and just put a big white line around there. And we start adding some weight to it so it looks the same size as this gold bond. I'm going up pretty big, but as I go big and I get this white line right here to kind of line up with things, notice that my letters get kind of thin. That's because the line, this white line, is actually happening right on the middle of this letter's outline. And that means that half of that weight of that line or that stroke size goes inside the letter and half goes outside. And that's why we get this kind of weird, like especially at the end and stuff, and these letters got thin. And we did all that work to make them look like this brown, like the nice body powder down here at the bottom. So we don't necessarily want that to happen. Now, in order to make this so that it's a lot easier to work with, I'm first of all going to take the stroke off and go back to where we were with no stroke right there. And then I'm going to, especially if I'm sure that these letters are the right font and they're spelled right, this is important, I'm going to create outlines. So I'll just select both pieces of type by using my select tool. And it won't work, by the way, if you have your type tool. You have to have the select. And I'm going to ask the computer to create outlines around all of this text. So if I go up to type, I can pull down to where it says create outlines here. And if you look, the quick key for that will be Shift Control 0. So you can either go to your type menu and go create outlines that way, or you can hold down the Shift key, the Control key, and hit O as in Oscar. I'm sorry, I said 0 just now, but it's actually O for outline. So once I do that, notice that all that baseline information goes away. But when I click on this, now I see the outline of the text. And that's in red. And that's kind of hard for anybody to see. So I'm going to change the color of my layer right now so that you guys can see this a little bit better. And if I double click on the little picture in the layers palette, I went over, by the way, to the layer dock to get the layers. Right here's the layers. I'm going to double click on that. I can change the color here, and I believe that green is going to show up a lot better. Black won't be so good because some of my letters are black. Dark blue might be kind of nice. So, but I'm going to go with this. Actually, magenta might be fine. Let's go look at that. That's a little bit better. So now when we look at this and I get close, you can see that there's like a magenta line around there. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll add white to this. So here's, I'm going up to the stroke color up here in the options bar. I've got this gold bond here selected. Go up to the options bar. Stroke is this guy, second from the left. And we're just going to add a white stroke to that and bring it up fairly large so that it's kind of blended in like this one here is. And then notice my letters disappeared. But this time I'm going to go to my palette dock over on the right. And I'm looking for a palette that has 3 little lines. And when I hover over it, or I guess 4, the word stroke pops up. If you don't have stroke in your docs palette, go to Windows, look up in the Windows in the menu bar, go to Window, and then go find stroke. And these are all alphabetized, so you'd look in the S's. And then I'm going to go to the align stroke. Now sometimes you'll get a stroke palette that looks like this. Let's go here and let's just hide the options. If that's all you see, don't panic. This little button right here with all the lines on it, that's the show options button. So you go to show options. Now you get the same controls that I have. And if you go look down, it goes to weight, caps, corner, go to align stroke, and we want to push that to the outside. And when we do that, it pushes it to the outside, but these letters are actually stacked, and that's why I'm seeing this white encroach over the N like that. So that might not be, it does help, but it's not the best. And then I can also tone that down a little bit. I think it's about there actually when I look at things. So in order to eliminate that, I'm going to make another gold bond, and I'm just going to turn off the stroke on that so that all I see are the letters right on the top of here. So I'll copy this. Just think about the juice thing that you made in that one in the lab that we just finished. So Control C and then Control F as in Frank, because we want it to come to the front. So F as in front. Okay, so that put one on the front, and now I'll turn off my stroke. We'll just go right up here to 25 or even 0. Or better yet, go over to the colors and give it nothing. And notice now that the gold bond looks very much like the gold bond over here. Now, if you should have some weird things happening, I'll arrange this and we'll just push this a little bit more, and I'll show you some of the things that can happen. So we'll go to the next object below, I believe that's that one. And if we go push that, especially with the N even farther, oh, mine's not doing it. Sometimes you will get these weird little like points that come out. And if you should do that, you're going to have to edit that, and you'll edit it in the, you'll edit it by expanding this and then just going to clean that up at the end with your white or your pen tool. And I can show you that later, but this is the gold bond. Now we're going to do the same for the body powder. You click on that. We will add a huge honkin' white stroke to that. And I'm looking over here at my label, and I can see that the R is almost completely filled in right there, and that's what's dictating how big to make the stroke. And I can kind of see right now that this looks very close to what's going on over here. And rather than play with this and align the stroke, because I know that I'm going to just copy and put one over the top anyway, I'll copy it, Control C, and then I'll paste the new one on the front, Control F for front. And then we'll turn off the stroke up in the options bar, just like that. And now you can see that this is awfully close to this. Now this is where the editing comes in. If you look at the inside of the O on this label here, we'll go close to it, you can see that that is filled in, the inside of this O is filled in. There aren't any white parts showing, but when we come over here to this, we actually do have some white parts showing. So we're going to get rid of those. If I click on my first body powder, it's got the one that's got no stroke on it. I can tell that because if I look up in the options bar, you know, there's a slash there. Now I want to select the one thing behind it. So I'm going to right click on that and ask to select, and we'll say next object below. Now, I know that I've got the one with the white stroke because if I look at my options bar right here, I can actually see that white stroke show up here, and I can see that it's an 11. So in order to get rid of these little things in the inside without having to make my stroke bigger, I'll just go up to Object, Expand, and we'll say OK. And then I want all this stuff to be eliminated, so I'm going to go to my Pathfinder. So I'll have to look over to my right into my Docs palette, and Pathfinder icon looks like this. It's two squares together overlapping. Now if you don't have Pathfinder, again, go up to your Windows menu up at the top, go down to the P's and get the Pathfinder. If you do, you're golden. Click on that, and we're going to unite everything on here. So when I do that, now it's just one big shape, so I don't have all these little shapes to deal with. Now I want to eliminate this little thing inside the circle here and here. And if you didn't get those, great. If you got some big points though, and I'll show you some of those, I'll just make some and show you how to eliminate them. If you got some big points, you fix it the same way. So in order to fix this stuff, I need to switch from my black arrow, which selects everything, to my white arrow, which selects individual pieces of a thing. So I'm going to go to the Direct Select tool, which is the white. I'm over on the left in the toolbar, white arrow. I'm going to click to clear, And now I'm just going to hover right over the edge of the inside of that white piece and hit delete 2 times, and that goes away. And I'll do the same thing over here. Now let's just say, for instance, that you got something weird that kind of looks like this. I'll make one. If you don't have it, you don't have to make it. So I'm just going to make this real quick so that you can see what one of these things might look like. Okay, and then we'll just grab that piece. Oops. I have to zoom in here because I can't see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to add some points here. And again, don't do this if you don't have it. I'm just doing this to show people who might have this issue. Maybe they got one of these at the bottom of their W's or at their ends when they made the stroke bigger. If this looks familiar, this is how you fix it. You would still do that outlining, expand, unite, but then you would use your pen tool. Go to your toolbox, get your pen tool, and click right on the very end of that pen. So I'm going to just highlight this to make sure that I have it first with my white arrow. Then I'm going to my pen and select the delete anchor point, and then just go right down to the end. And then I like to get all of the anchor points, and that fixes that up. So if you have those weird points, they usually will occur here or down here or up in the, especially with N's and M's. Go fix them. And I'm going to end right there, and we'll catch you with the next video. Hopefully you're caught up with me.